Hello, and welcome to the Friday show of Adamo Baseball, where I'm your host, Adamo. And in this episode, doing something a little different. Normally, I break down the whole week in baseball. Pretty standard. I try and go through every team. It can be a little stressful because I have to try to keep up with everyone, and that usually doesn't happen. But once in a while, I get a little something that I just get an idea. Today is April 30th. I'm recording this on April 30th. What I'm doing is I'm doing April's All-Stars. So I'm breaking down the best players for every team, and I'm doing a 2-deep rotation for every position, and then I'm doing a breakdown of 12 pitchers for each league that if the All-Star game were to happen, these are the players I would have in their position, their respective position, going to the All-Star game. Now, I also have my MLB app open, so I can basically make sure that I'm not putting someone in the wrong position. For instance, there's one catcher in the American League that's actually all-star material for the month of April. I'm not making that up. Same goes for second base. So I'm going to start with each team. That way, I'm going to do each team, then I'm going to do each league. This is my first time doing this, and I want to see how well this goes, and if it goes really well, I'll do this for May, or if you guys think this is garbage, I won't do it. Then I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Starting off, as always, with the American League East, starting with the Boston Red Sox. So I've got 4. Actually, 5. JD Martinez, Xander Bogart, Rafael Devers, Matt Barnes, and Eduardo Rodriguez. So in years past, Eduardo he's been kind of inconsistent, but this year he's 4-0 and the record's actually legit. It's not like, Daisuke Matsuzaka 10 years ago where his record was really good but he had a 4+ ERA. No, Eduardo's is down around 2. He actually has been pitching very well this year. And if there was any room on the American League roster, I'd put him in there. But honestly, there's just no room. So I can't. But he has done really well. Matt Barnes has quietly been one of the best relievers in baseball. He's got 6 saves. He had 1 bad outing. So his ERA does not reflect reality. For his first, I think, 7 outings, he did not allow a base runner. He had 1 bad game where he gave up a 3-run homer. But he doesn't have a blown save, I don't think. And yeah, he has been the guy for the Red Sox closing it out, just nailing the corners whenever they need him to make a pitch. Xander Bogart, he has quietly been one of the best shortstops in baseball this year. I've got him as one of the American League All-Stars. I do. He's been playing a great shortstop, and his offense, it took him a while to get the long ball, but he didn't really need it because he'd been hitting that well. And then, of course, JD Martinez. If he's not currently leading the American League in home runs, he has most of the month with 7. If you have 7 home runs in any given month, you average that for the season, you're hitting 42 home runs for the season. You want that. And he's also leading the league in almost every offensive category besides batting average. And he's still hitting somewhere in the 350 range. He's definitely like done everything that is asked of him. So yeah, I got 5 for the Red Sox, 2 of whom I have starting. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles. This one's really easy. MLB actually agrees with me on one of them, or both of them, which I'm kind of surprised by. Yeah, so John Means. I think his record is either 2-0 or 3-0. I think it's 2-0 because he just hasn't been able to get decisions. But his ERA is 1.5. He deserves so much better, okay? I've been bragging on this guy for a long time. This year, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. There's no denying that. It doesn't matter that he's left-handed. Actually, it makes it that much better because most lefties aren't as strong of pitchers, which is why when you find a good one, you keep him. And John Means has definitely done that. The other one's one that really goes under the radar because most people just don't really think about him. Usually if you're thinking about like a really good hitting Baltimore Oriole, you're probably thinking of Trey Mancini because he's put out 5 home runs for the month, which isn't bad, but he's still striking out a lot. However, there is an outfielder that the O's have that has been really good, like in all fronts, especially hitting 345. Cedric Mullins. He's a center fielder for the Baltimore Orioles, and he has played like a starting center fielder. If it wasn't for Mike Trout, Cedric Mullins would be the best center fielder in baseball, or in the American League at least, if not baseball, because he has been doing that well. In fact, a couple of days ago, when I first started looking up this information, he was leading the league in hits with 31, like hits total. So he may not have had the best batting average, but when you're hitting better than 350 at the time, it ain't your fault you're not leading. You're doing everything right. And he has been. The Toronto Blue Jays. So I agreed with one of the picks. However, I got 3 players that are definitely their 3 best players. And it's not close. So, Vladimir Grier Jr. He has done everything right. MLB agrees with me on this one. There's no denying Vladimir Grier Jr. has done everything you can ask him to do and more. The other 2, however, are going under the radar. Steven Matz and Hyun-Jin Ryu. So Ryu, people are aware, he's not really, so the app, it's only putting down 4 for each league, so I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it. And I did 12. I did put both of these pitchers on there because Ryu has been pitching up to his standard. Steven Matz, who doesn't really get a lot of attention, mostly because he was in New York, where he was in the same rotation as Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Marco Stroman. So it's really hard to get attention there. He wasn't a bad pitcher there. He's pitching like an all-star right now. If I recall correctly, his ERA is somewhere around 1. he's doing everything right. Tampa Bay, this is easily the easiest one. Tyler Glosso. If we voted for the Cy Young Award today, he'd win the American League Cy Young Award. His ERA is like a half. Seriously, it's like 0.5. And it's not because he hasn't pitched a lot of innings. He's thrown a lot of innings. He's pitching up to standard. He, just like John Means, is playing or pitching exactly as you want him to. He also happens to be the only Ray. While some of the Rays haven't played bad, he's the only one that's pitched to all-star level, let alone played to the level that he needs to be playing. Rosarina hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been all that. Then the New York Yankees, this one's actually really easy too. Garrett Cole or Aroldis Chapman. Not one of their hitters truly belongs there. Though I do have a Yankee on the American League All-Star team, not because I think he should be an All-Star, but because the pool there is just very limited. But I don't want to spoil that surprise yet. Get there when I get there. Now on to the American League Central. Danny Duffy. That's it. He's pitching 4-0, or he's got a 4-0 record, and he's pitching like a pitcher with a 4-0 record. He's actually really good. I want to say he's pitching somewhere in between Tyler Glosso and Steven Matz level right now. There's another Royal that I also have on the American League roster because the field in that position is very limited. The Chicago White Sox. This one's fun. Yermin Mercedes. If voting started today, he would be the Rookie of the Year. They do have Rookie of the Month awards. He is the American League Rookie of the Month. There's no denying that at all. He is the Rookie of the Month. He's hitting over 400. I think he's hitting 421. He's got 5 home runs. I don't care how many RBIs he's got because it's a lot. He has been probably the best hitter in the American League. The only other player that's competing with him is Mike Trout. One more thing about Mercedes before I move on. He is hitting, or he's playing it as a designated hitter, though he's officially listed as a catcher. He has 2 at-bats as a catcher, 1 as a pitcher, 1 as a first baseman, and 74 as a designated hitter. He's a designated hitter. He played catcher in the minors, but the guy has Monty Grandal, so they're not going to risk losing his bat for him having to catch. Then the other 2, Tim Anderson and Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon, I have to admit, that's biased because he threw the no-hitter. He was literally a toe away from throwing a perfect game. I don't know if he's going to be able to maintain all-star status going forward throughout the rest of the year, but he is pitching as well as anybody, especially for the White Sox. And then Tim Anderson is doing, well, Tim Anderson things. He hasn't been blowing anyone's doors off, but if he maintains the level of play that he has, he's going to start getting some recognition. Now, on to the Cleveland Indians. Fran Mel Reyes, Shane Bieber, and Savale. Savale's the one that surprised me. So he's actually been pitching really well. He would be an ace most anywhere in baseball, except that Shane Bieber's there. And Shane Bieber is, well, doing Shane Bieber things. He had his one bad day, opening day. Apart from opening day, it's just where he picked up from last year. It's the exact same level. He's been doing that well. And then Fran Mel Reyes, he's the Indian that's been hitting. I double checked my stats on both Rosarios. They've been doing well with the glove, but they haven't been doing as well with the bat. Not nearly as well as I thought that they had. I disagreed with the app on this one because Jose Ramirez has not been hitting. He does have home runs. He's near the top of the American League in home runs, but he's hitting like 230, if not worse. And most of the year he has been hitting worse. I can't justify it. I cannot put him at an all-star because he's just not hitting. At least not well enough consistently. The Minnesota Twins. Byron Buxton, Nelson Cruz, Michael Pinata, and Jose Barrios. I'll admit, I'm a bit biased towards Jose Barrios. Okay, he actually is a great pitcher, and he deserves all the recognition he gets. He does. He's pitching around a 3 ERA, which I think it's actually like 3.04. So there's that. At the same time, he is pitching very well. He had one bad game against Boston. Most pitchers who pitched against Boston had a bad game against Boston. Michael Pinata has been surprisingly good. So I wrote this down. He's got 2.42 ERA. And considering how bad the Twins have been this year, surprisingly bad, he's been one of their bright spots. Nelson Cruz, like a fine wine, he gets better with age. I think he's 41, and he's near the top of the American League in home runs, if not at the top. Or tied. Because I know he and JD neck and neck most of the year. Then Byron Buxton, he's been their one outfielder that's been getting it done. He has. In fact, he's one of the best players in the American League this year. And it's not close. Like, he really has been that good this year. Detroit. This is also one of the easiest ones. Matt Boyd. Yeah, he's pitching at John Means level. Seriously, he's been getting it done, and he is the only Detroit Tiger that's been getting it done. I wanted Akil Baddoo to keep going with how well he was playing to start the year, but he just hasn't maintained it. Now, he's been doing well enough to stay on the team because he's got like a 250 average, but he's just not getting it done. Now moving on to the American League West. Starting off with the Oakland Athletics, Matt Olsen and Sean Minnea. So, Sean Minnea has been like their golden boy pitcher. He's one of the reasons that they had that 13-game winning streak. No, I'm not making that up. That's how far that win streak went. And then Matt Olson's been their home run hitter. So I actually crossed his name off. I mean, this is what the thing looks like. an absolute mess, I know. But yeah, he's been pretty much most of their offense, or at least the best part of their offense. And Jed Lowry has, but I feel like he caught fire too late for me to be able to put him on this list. Though he does deserve recognition. I'll give Jed Lowry that. He is one of the guys that helped get Oakland that 13-game win streak. That has got them up to the top of the American League West. Seattle. I feel like the app missed one on this. I've been very high on Mitch Haniger because he's not hitting 300, but he has definitely been one of the guys that's got them to the level that they are. He's the only reason why they're even in the hunt. He's the reason why Seattle, at one point, for one day, had the best record in the American League. They did. For one day, they had the best record in the American League. Not baseball. Dodgers were the best at the time. But he did get Seattle, or he was one of the guys that got Seattle to beat the Red Sox to split the series and be able to take that lead. Temporarily, but he did do it. Ty France and Flexen. So I talked about Flexen a little bit in a couple of my past episodes. He's got a really good curveball. He's got one of the better breaking balls in the league. It's wicked. Look it up. It's worth looking for. And then Ty France is definitely one of the most underrated players. He's definitely one of the guys that's got them most of their offense, especially in the late innings, because that's when they've scored all their runs. It's always been late in the game, and Ty France is one of the reasons why they've been able to do that. So don't sleep on Ty France. In fact, he's one of my guys that got pegged. The Los Angeles Angels. Is it any question as to who I'm going to put first on that list? Mike Trout. Come on. The guy's the best player in baseball. I'm not going to beat that dead horse anymore. If I talk about it anymore for any reason, I don't know why. Guy number 2, he's in American League West fans' eyes, he's definitely caught a lot of attention. Walsh. I think it's John Walsh. John or Jared. Anyway, Jay Walsh. He's been surprisingly good for the Angels. He's one of the reasons that they've been able to stay in the division hunt, because a lot of their pitching just hasn't been there. It's been very inconsistent. Mike Trout and Walsh have been most of the offense, and I'm not bragging about it. Pujols. He's had a couple of good games, but he's not that guy anymore. He's just not. And then the other one, Shohei Ohtani. He's had a couple of bad games pitching, but he's also had good ones. But he's also been really good with the bat. I did not put him on the American League All-Star Game team because I don't know where to put him. I really don't know where to put him. So I left him off the list. And I just can't justify it. But he is one of the best players for the Angels. That's a no-doubter. For Houston, Yuli Gurriel and Zach Greinke. Yuli Gurriel has been most of the offense. Altuve's not playing the way he was a year ago, but he's still not back up to his 2017 form. Zach Greinke, however, has been pitching like the ace that they have paid him to be. They are. He is. He's been the guy. And he's probably the slowest pitcher in baseball. Not like in his windup or anything. The pitches are the slowest in baseball. Since I think 2019, he's had over 500 pitches travel slower than 80 miles an hour. It's ridiculous. And then, last but certainly not least, the Texas Rangers, where we've got actually two guys. One of them I didn't realize had been playing well until I was looking at this app. So I did my research a couple of days ago, but one guy went under my radar. Nick Solak. Apparently he was a Yankee and played for them for a little bit, but never really was able to get the role because the position was filled by Glaber. But Nick Solak has actually been pretty good for the Rangers this year. And the other one that everyone seems to be missing, Kyle Gibson. He's kind of an afterthought in Minnesota a couple of years ago behind Barrios and Odorizzi, but Kyle Gibson is pretty good, at least he has been this year. He's the one guy I have pegged going to the All-Star game for the Rangers based off merit rather than based off the you have to have a player rule. And when I made the American League and National League All-Star teams, I did follow that rule. I know it's supposed to be a 23 or 24-man roster depending on the league, but I didn't end up with that many because look, I'm actually not sure why, but not going to worry about it. That, however, does wrap up the American League. Woo! Yeah! Since I've realized how long this video is running, I'm actually going to split this up into 2 different episodes. So, I'm going to do the teams episode today, and then I'm going to do the American League separately tomorrow. And now for the National League. Starting, as always, with the National League East. This one, that's what I wrote. Ha! Yeah, this one's actually pretty straightforward. So, I want to make this clear about the National League. There's a lot of pitchers, like a lot of pitchers in the National League that belong in there. I intentionally left a bunch off because I was trying to get it down to 12. Frankly, it's virtually impossible. The American League pitching was a lot easier because the designated hitter makes it harder for American League pitchers to be able to keep their ERAs down as much. In the National League, they don't have that problem. They got pinch hitters, but those are going to be hit and miss. No pun intended. But there's going to be a lot that I leave off the list, so bear with me. Oh, and whenever I get to the Dodgers, don't blame me for leaving off half the team, because almost the whole team belongs there, okay? So I'm just going to get that out of the way now. But starting with the New York Mets. The obvious one, Jacob deGrom. He's got a 2-2 record. He has not been pitching like a man who has a 2-2 record. He just set a record for most strikeouts through the first 5 games. Those 2 losses, he gave up 1 run in each of those games. He's given up 2 runs in 5 games. and he's gone, I think, 7 innings in all of them. If you give up 2 runs in approximately 35 innings, it's not your fault you lost. Let alone twice. The other pitcher I got is Marco Stroman. So, yes, he actually has been pitching like an all-star this year. He's not getting the hype, if you will, but he's been pitching like an all-star this year. Their third baseman, Walker. I don't know anything about this guy. When I was looking up the stats for the New York Mets, I saw that Walker was doing well. I'm trying not to base this solely off of stats, but that is the easiest metric, though it's not the only metric. I am watching games, and I am paying attention to how well they're flashing the leather, though I am not, or I've seen one Mets game. I cannot judge a team on one game, let alone over the course of a whole month. So, with him, I had to base it off the stats. Brandon Nimmo, or Nimmo, depending on how you pronounce his name, he's been playing at Cedric Mullins' level. He really has been, like, the only player giving the Mets any offense. Pete Alonso's doing okay. He's not doing that okay. Yeah, it really has been Brandon Nimmo. Now on to the Philadelphia Phillies. Bryce Harper's back. He's playing like an all-star again. It's been a while. He went to the all-star game in 2018, though he probably shouldn't have. At the end of the year, he had all-star stats, but the all-star game, he wasn't playing as well up to that point. He is playing like an all-star right now. He's had a great month of April. Like, he's raking, he's hitting, he's knocking in runs. He's a right fielder, I think. I think he's a right fielder. And yeah, he's been playing a great outfield. He's actually doing what Philadelphia paid him all that money to do. Like $330 million or something. Rhys Hoskins. So, yeah, he has been the other real big offensive hitter for the Phillies. He's been playing a great first base. He's been knocking it out of the park, literally. He's been hitting the ball very well, consistently. The app disagreed with me on who should be the starting first baseman, and I understand. The guy that they have, I have as well. I just have them flipped, which is fine. Okay? Disagreements happen. JT Realmuto. I think that they're really underestimating him. I do. They don't have him even as honorable mention. JT Realmuto has been playing a great game the whole month, really. Then, of course, Zach Eflin and Aaron Nola. I didn't include either of these guys in the pitching roster because it's just too crowded of a field, though they have been pitching like all-stars. On to the Atlanta Braves. So there's actually 2. I originally thought I was only going to have 1, but there's 2. Ronald Acuna Jr. He's been the Braves' entire offense, or at least he was until about a week ago. Other players on their offense started making some moves, mainly Freddie Freeman. But even Travis Darnod started crapping out. It really has been Acuna. Even after getting hurt, he was still their best offensive player. So, they got one pitcher. I didn't include him in the NL pitching list because he probably shouldn't be there, but Ian Anderson has been the best pitcher for the Braves, and he is one of the reasons why they're still in the NL East. Now, you look at the record and you wonder how that's even possible, but he's doing it. Or like they're still in it. Washington's only a game out, and they're in last place. You think with all these All-Stars, it wouldn't be anything like this, but it is. And the team slowly, or very quickly and assuredly, becoming my favorite team just to watch. Not my favorite team in the league, but my favorite team to watch. The Miami Marlins. Come on. I've been bragging about it for weeks now. Jazz Chisholm. Come on. And the app agreed with me too. He's the best second baseman in the National League. And honestly, he's the best second baseman in baseball. Not just playing second base, but as an offensive player. As a player for the Marlins, he leads the team in home runs, or at least he has been. It's possible Jesus Aguilar passed him. I don't think he did. He's been in the top 3 on the team in batting average, which if you got a second baseman that can hit, you keep him. And yeah, he's been doing everything for that team. I genuinely enjoy watching him, not just because his name's Jazz, but because he's actually been the best second baseman in baseball. It's one of those few times where I know that team success is contingent on whether or not you win the MVP. He's one of the people who defies that rule. He is the most valuable player. Without him, they win probably like 5 games. And then the other one, not a lot of people have really caught on to this guy, Corey Dickerson in left field. He's been hitting well, but he hasn't been he hasn't really caught fire, if you will. He hasn't been like that guy. He hasn't been like outstanding, so to speak. So yeah. And then I got Jesus Aguilar, mostly because he's just pushing Jazz Chisholm to be better. But as an all-star himself, I actually crossed him off the list because he's not quite that level. And then bringing up the rear, the Washington Nationals. They got two. Trey Turner, who's mostly here because of his defensive capabilities. He's been one of the best shortstops. His hitting hasn't exactly been at the same level, though it's been good enough. That's why he's catching a lot of attention as to possibly being the starting shortstop. The other one, Max Scherzer. He's got an ERA of I think it's like 0.3 or something. He's pitching as well as DeGrom is. He had one bad game to start the season. Other than that, he's been the guy. He's been the only pitcher that's been consistent, at least since opening day. Juan Soto got hurt, and it has killed them. Along with Steven Strasburg. Both those guys getting hurt, it just destroyed that team. They have not been the same since. So, yeah. Now, moving on to the National League Central. Starting off, the Milwaukee Brewers. So I've got the first one down as the catcher, partly because the catching field, it's a bit stronger in the National League, though he's not really the best catcher in the National League. It's just about having someone available for that position should I need him. Narvaez, I think that's how you say his name. Apparently he's been one of their better hitters, like their best hitters actually, which is odd. But yeah, he's been their best offensive player, and no one else on their offense has really just taken off. There really isn't anyone that's just jumping out at the screen. Two pitchers, however, one in particular, who probably should be the starter at the All-Star game if voting were to happen today. Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. So, I'll admit, I was wrong about Brandon Woodruff. He had a great month of April. Corbin Burns has not yet thrown a walk. He's thrown, I think, 50 strikeouts, 50 plus strikeouts, and has not issued a walk yet. The walks have been strong with this one. Or sorry, the strikeouts have been strong with this one. Corbin Burns, as it stands right now, probably should be starting the All-Star game as the best pitcher. At least in the National League. If not all of Major League Baseball. So, yeah. But that's it for the Brewers. The Brew Crew are in first place in the Central. And that's how. Next up, St. Louis. I don't think anyone saw John Gant being their best pitcher coming. But John Gant has been their best pitcher. It's not even close. He is hands down their best pitcher this year. And what's more, I have him on that pitching roster for amongst the 12 best in the National League. And it's not close either. And as far as hitting is concerned, I was actually kind of leery on this one. Yadier Molina. He has been doing very well, both behind the plate and beside the plate, just as he always does. And then the wild card would be Aaron Dono. Aaron Dono's been trying to carry most of the offense, but you can tell it's starting to catch up with him. That's why I didn't put Aaron Dono on here. Seriously, I didn't. And plus, the third base position in the National League is stacked. So, and he has not been outplaying the other two. Moving on. Pittsburgh Pirates. Brubaker, their pitcher, their starting pitcher, he's their one good starting pitcher. And of course, they got Rodriguez, their relief pitcher, who's been pitching outstanding. He's the one that is actually going to make the All-Star game. I put Key Brian Hayes on here, but he's hurt, so he hasn't played enough. He technically doesn't even qualify as a regular starter. Second baseman Adam Frazier. He's been their best offensive player, and if there's not room for Rodriguez to make the All-Star game, Adam Frazier will be on the All-Star team because he has been the best Pirate offensively, period. And if you're a second baseman, you're on the team for defense, not offense. But if you can play offense, yeah, and he's been able to do it. Cincinnati. This one is easy. Nick Castellanos. After flexing on Yachty and having to sit out for a couple of games, he's still hands down their best player. He's one of the reasons why their offense is off to such a hot start. And he's the one player that they got who's playing an all-star level. That's it. This one wasn't as easy because there were a couple other guys I wanted to, but I chose not to because it just doesn't really work. Chicago Cubs. Yeah, Chris Bryant. Looks like he figured out how to hit again. Because he's been just an offensive machine this year. Specifically the second half of April, he's been an offensive machine. retaught himself how to hit, and it's showing. And since he's in a contract year, the Cubs may be either A, trying to trade him at the deadline if the Cubs can't get it going, or B, they may be trying to re-sign him. We'll find out when we find out. But yeah, he's been the best third baseman in baseball. I'm going to skip the next one because I'm going to move on for a moment. I'm actually going to start with the bottom up for the National League West. So, this one's actually kind of interesting. Colorado Rockies, Raimel Tapia. Do you even know who he is? I've seen him play a couple of times on the TV for Bally Sports. But do you know who he is? You probably don't. He's been their best player. He's also been their leadoff hitter. We went into the season assuming that the Rockies were going to be a mess. They're a mess. Seriously, they are a mess. It's an atrocious nightmare. It really is. It's sad. But yeah, Tapia is by far their best player, and he's going to be their representative at the All-Star game. Unless if Charlie Blackmon or Trevor Story can just really get it going, or if Tapia gets hurt, Tapia's going to be that guy. He's going to be their All-Star, and Trevor Story is still probably going to get traded. I don't know that he plays for the Rockies at the All-Star game, or at the time of the All-Star game, which ironically is being played in Colorado. Arizona. Zach Gallen. That's it. I've got him on the list for the 12 pitchers because I followed the rule of every team has to be represented. That's it. The other one that I considered but decided to go against is Carson Kelly because of Real Muto and one other guy. Though Carson Kelly has been their offensive linchpin, he really has been that guy. I don't necessarily know that he's going to be able to maintain that the whole year. He's a great hitting catcher, and he did catch a 7-inning no-hitter from Madison Bumgarner, which didn't actually count because he didn't pitch 9 innings, which is dumb, but whatever. They called it a complete game shutout, but they wouldn't give him the no-hitter because of legalese. Whatever. But Zach Gallen actually has been their best pitcher, so I went with Zach Gallen. Though you could make a case for Carson Kelly. He has been a really good catcher this year. San Diego Padres. Eric Hosmer, Fernando Tatis Jr., Joe Musgrove, and I threw Yu Darvish in there too. Yu Darvish, I did not include him in the list, or the National League list, though he is definitely one of the guys that's got the Padres to where they are. Joe Musgrove, it's not just because of the no-hitter. The whole year he's been the Padres' ace by a mile. I'm not making that up. He actually has been playing, or he's been pitching as well as anybody in baseball. Not just one game, but all of them. He had one mediocre outing, and that's because he was exhausted from the no-hitter, because he threw the complete game shutout. Then Fernando Tatis Jr., he was hurt for a little bit, He comes back with a vengeance and hits like 5 home runs in 3 days. Don't even need to say more about that. The other one that's actually caught me by surprise, and yes, I have been watching, so I'm fully aware of this, Eric Hosmer. He actually has been playing up to standard. And when Tatis was out, Hosmer did pick up the slack. Machado didn't play poorly hitting, but he hasn't been playing like an all-star. Eric Hosmer has been playing like an all-star. He has been hitting that well. He has been playing that good at first base. And yeah, he has been that good. San Francisco Giants. Did you know or even suspect that they would have the best record in the National League? They do. As of today, they do. They jumped the Dodgers. The Royals have the best record in baseball. Let that sink in for a moment. But the Giants have the best record in the National League. And these 4 guys I'm about to mention are why. Well, 3. Buster Posey, he's been their offense. He's been doing Buster Posey things behind the plate too, nailing down runners and whatnot. Desclafani, he actually has been their, specifically their stud pitcher. Honestly, you can make a case for almost the entire rotation. And the one that caught me by surprise, Kevin Gausman. I've been very critical of him. Maybe all of us as a society complaining about his pitching is what motivated him to be one of the best, because this year he has been one of the best, and very quietly too. Nobody really has caught wind of it. Like, he actually has been one of the best. He deserves far more credit than he's getting. And then, drum roll for the LA Dodgers. Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. You can make a case for every single starter in their rotation. I only included Walker Buehler because he's the best in their rotation. You can make a case for Clayton Kershaw, the app did, Dustin May. I'm blanking on the rest of the rotation. Trevor Bauer. I can't remember the rest. David Price got hurt. He's on the IL. And Kenley Jansen has been pitching better than he has been in the last couple of years, but he hasn't been pitching all-star level. As far as offense is concerned, you can make a case for Cody Bellinger. At least you probably could. Justin Turner has been their main offensive weapon. So yeah, I only included 2. But I'm openly stating you can say the entire pitching rotation. In fact, I'm probably going to have a graphic for that. So yeah. Don't get hung up on that. And Justin Turner is the one that I've got that's like, okay, this dude actually has been playing legit, full-on, all-star level. That is the entire list. Now, because of how long this episode is, I'm legit going to do a separate episode where I talk about the starters for the All-Star itself, or All-Star game itself. That was for each individual team, because I want to make a point with this. Every team has at least one guy that has been playing like an all-star. Not just because they have to be represented at the all-star game. They all have players that have been playing like all-stars. Some of them maybe not necessarily as strong as others, but they've all had guys or a guy play at the level of an all-star. I'm going to be editing this out, or editing this down, so this is probably going to come out late. But, yeah. Those are my thoughts. Now that this has run quite a bit, or quite a length. Now, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Or, if you're listening on my podcast, you can listen, or you can come over to my podcast, over to my YouTube channel, and leave the comments down below. Or, you can let me know on Twitter, at AdamoBaseball1, or just AdamoBaseball. You'll find me. It'll be awesome. With that being said, thank you for listening. Cheers until next time.